The council war chamber was built deep inside the station, far from the diplomatic halls where pleasant words were exchanged. This was where the real power resided, and Councillor Rax felt more comfortable here than he ever did in the main assembly. Around the strategic table, military commanders from a dozen species reviewed the situation. Admiral Hyunwoo Choi's demonstration of human independence had humiliated them all. Now they wanted revenge. The council cannot allow this rebellion to stand, Rax declared, his clawed hand striking the table. If we permit humanity to break free, every client species will follow. Within a year, the council will be meaningless. General Thos, a massive armored creature from one of the founding species, nodded agreement. We must make an example. A quick, overwhelming strike against one of their outer colonies. Show them the cost of defiance. Our enforcement fleet is ready, another commander added. 300 ships. More than enough to handle whatever forces the humans can muster. Council Prime Velthar had tried to attend the meeting, but Rax had quietly excluded him. The time for diplomacy was over. The military would handle this situation. Target the colony at Alpha Centauri B, Rax ordered. It's one of their oldest settlements, heavily populated. Taking it will break their spirit. The fleet mobilized within hours. 300 warships representing the combined might of the Council's military forces. It was the largest battle fleet assembled in centuries. The commanders were confident. Humanity had perhaps 50 ships in the entire sector. The outcome was certain. At the human colony on Titan Station, Admiral Hyunwoo Choi received the alert. The Council fleet had departed and was heading for Alpha Centauri. They would arrive in 6 hours. How many ships can we get there in time? He asked. 50, Captain Minji Park replied from the Indomitable. The defense fleet was already positioned nearby. 50 against 300. Admiral Hyunwoo smiled slightly. Those are almost fair odds. Minji understood the confidence. She had been part of the testing program for humanity's new ships. She knew what they could do. Should we request reinforcements? No, Hyunwoo said. Let's show them what 50 human ships can accomplish. The Council fleet arrived at the designated coordinates with military precision. 300 warships arranged in standard battle formation, weapons powered, shields at maximum. They expected to find a frightened colony and perhaps a handful of defensive ships. Instead, they found 50 human vessels arranged in a loose formation between the fleet and the colony. Captain Minji Park's voice came over the open channel. Council fleet, this is Captain Park of the Earth Defense Force. You are approaching human territory with hostile intent. Turn back now. Commander Rax, watching from his flagship, laughed. 50 ships? They send 50 ships against 300. Their arrogance will be their destruction. Perhaps we should reconsider, one of his officers suggested nervously. Intelligence reports indicated humans might have advanced technology. Intelligence was wrong, Rax snapped. We've monitored their capabilities for years. Standard Council technology, perhaps slightly modified. Nothing our shields cannot handle. He opened the fleet-wide channel. All ships advance. Disable the human vessels but minimize casualties. We want prisoners, not martyrs. The Council fleet moved forward. 300 ships, their weapons charged and ready. It should have been a massacre. Then the human ships activated their new systems. The first thing the Council noticed was the speed. Human ships accelerated far faster than their drives should allow, reaching velocities that made the Council sensors recalibrate multiple times. They moved like fighters rather than capital ships, darting and weaving through space with impossible agility. What? Rax began, but his words were cut off as the human ships opened fire. The weapons were nothing like Council technology. Beams of coherent energy that punched through shields as if they weren't there. Missiles that changed course mid-flight, avoiding countermeasures with sophisticated AI guidance. Electromagnetic pulses that shut down entire ships without destroying them. Captain Minji commanded the battle with calm precision. Wing Alpha, target their command vessels. Wing Beta, disable their weapons platforms. Wing Gamma, shield disruption on the carriers. The 50 human ships moved as one coordinated unit. They didn't fight like the Council expected, with ships trading fire in static positions. They fought like a swarm, each ship covering the others, attacking from multiple angles, never staying in one place long enough to be effectively targeted. Fleet Commander Seok Jin led the assault wing with deadly efficiency. His ship, the Phoenix, danced through Council fire, its shields absorbing hits that should have destroyed it. His weapons targeted specific systems on enemy ships with surgical precision. Engines disabled. Weapon arrays destroyed. Shield generators overloaded, all without destroying the ships themselves. This is impossible, Rax said, watching his fleet fall apart. Their technology is far beyond ours, his tactical officer said quietly. Sir, we're losing ships. Not destroyed, but disabled. They're taking us apart systematically. A council battleship tried to ram one of the human vessels. The human ship simply accelerated away, its speed incredible. Then it looped back and disabled the battleship's engines with a precise weapon strike. Another council ship attempted to self-destruct near a cluster of human vessels, hoping to take them with it. The human ships detected the overload and used their weapons to safely detonate the ship at a distance where the explosion couldn't harm anything. 20 minutes into the battle, 50 council ships were disabled and drifting. 30 minutes in, 100 were out of action. The human ships had barely taken any damage. Their shields absorbed the council weapons easily, and their speed made them nearly impossible to hit. Admiral Hyunwoo watched the battle data with satisfaction. Everything was going according to plan. The council had expected an easy victory. Instead, they were being systematically dismantled. Should we finish them? One of his officers asked. No, Hyunwoo said firmly. We're proving a point, not starting a genocide. Disable their ships, protect their crews, let them go home with stories. Counselor Rax watched his fleet fall apart with growing horror. This wasn't a battle. It was a demonstration. The humans weren't even trying to destroy his ships. They were showing mercy, which somehow made it worse. Retreat, he finally ordered. All ships fall back. But retreating was difficult when your engines were disabled. The human ships had been targeting propulsion systems specifically. Many council vessels were stranded, drifting helplessly in space. Captain Minji opened a channel to the council flagship. Commander Rax, your fleet is defeated. We could destroy every ship here, but we won't. Your crews are safe. Your ships can be repaired. But you need to understand something very clearly. She paused, letting her words sink in. Humanity is not weak. We are not primitive. We are not your subordinates. We offered partnership. You responded with force. This is the result. Fleet Commander Seok Jin added his voice. We're going to tow your disabled ships to a safe distance from our colony. We'll provide basic repair supplies and medical assistance for any injured crews. Then you'll go home and explain to the council what happened here. Across the battlefield, human ships began the careful work of securing the disabled council vessels. They moved each ship to a safe location, sent over repair equipment, and even provided food and medical supplies for the stranded crews. The council soldiers were stunned. They had attacked a human colony, fully intending to conquer it. Now those same humans were saving them, providing assistance, treating them with dignity despite their defeat. One council soldier, injured when his ship's systems overloaded, found himself in a human medical bay. A doctor named Yuna worked on his injuries with professional care. Why are you helping us? The soldier asked. We attacked you. Because you're hurt. Yuna replied simply. We don't kill people just because we can. We're not monsters. Back on the council station, news of the defeat spread rapidly. 300 ships against 50. Complete defeat. Not a single council vessel destroyed, but every one of them disabled or forced to retreat. The message was clear and terrifying. Humanity had not just won a battle. They had demonstrated overwhelming technological superiority, and they had done it while showing mercy, which somehow made them even more frightening. Velthar watched the footage of the battle with growing understanding. The humans had never been weak. They had been hiding their true capabilities, building their strength in secret, waiting for the council to overreach. We underestimated them, he said quietly to his aide. We thought they were children playing with toys we gave them. Instead, they studied those toys, understood them, and built something far better. Across the galaxy, species watched the battle recordings in shock. The Council's invincible military had been defeated by a fraction of the force. If humanity could do this with 50 ships, what could they do with their entire fleet? And more importantly, if humanity could defy the Council successfully, who else might try? Day 15 arrived like any other day on the Council station. Counselor Rax was reviewing reports when his assistant informed him that Ambassador Daehyun Kim had requested an audience. Rax allowed himself a satisfied smile. The human was early. That suggested desperation. In the council chamber, representatives gathered quickly. Word had spread that Earth was ready to respond to the ultimatum. Many expected surrender. Some hoped for it. A few quietly wondered if humanity might surprise them. Ambassador Dae-hyun entered the chamber wearing the same simple black suit. His expression was calm, almost pleasant. He walked to the center of the floor and nodded respectfully to Council Prime Velthar. "Ambassador Kim," Velthar said, "we are pleased you have returned so promptly. Has Earth made its decision?" "We have," Dae-hyun replied. He pulled out a data tablet and transmitted information to the Council's main display. "Earth's official response to your ultimatum is this. We decline." The chamber erupted in surprised chatter. Rax leaned forward, his scales bristling. "You decline? Do you understand what that means?" "Complete economic sanctions, trade embargoes, and isolation from the Council," Dae-hyun said calmly. "Yes, we understand. We accept those terms." Velthar's translator clicked rapidly. "Ambassador, perhaps you do not fully grasp the situation. Without Council technology and trade, humanity cannot sustain itself. Your colonies depend on imports. Your ships use our drive systems. Your medical facilities rely on our pharmaceutical networks." "Actually," Dae-hyun said, "we don't. Not anymore." On the main display, new information began appearing. Counselor after counselor leaned forward, trying to understand what they were seeing. "What is this?" Rax demanded. "This is the truth," Dae-hyun said. "For the past 10 years, humanity has been building its own infrastructure. Independent shipyards, resource processing facilities, agricultural stations capable of feeding our entire population, medical research centers that have surpassed your pharmaceutical technology." At that moment, across the galaxy, something extraordinary happened. On 73 human colonies, massive facilities that had been hidden or disguised suddenly activated. Shipyards that the Council thought were small suddenly revealed their true size. Mining operations that seemed minor suddenly showed production numbers that dwarfed Council estimates. Trade Minister Junho Park transmitted from Earth, his image appearing beside Dae-hyun. "The Council has been tracking our imports for decades. You thought you knew everything we needed, but you were only seeing half the story. We've been producing twice what you thought, building twice what you recorded, growing twice what you reported." "That's impossible," Velthar said. "We have inspectors. We have monitoring systems." "You have inspectors who saw exactly what we wanted them to see," Junho said with a slight smile. "Every inspection report was accurate. Every number was correct. You just never asked about the facilities you didn't know about." Director Minho Kang's image joined the display. "Your intelligence network is impressive. But you made one critical mistake. You assumed humanity would share everything with you. We didn't. We kept secrets. We built in places you never thought to look. And most importantly, we never stopped innovating." More data flooded the Council displays. Trade agreements between Earth and dozens of independent worlds, completely bypassing Council oversight. Resource stockpiles that could sustain human space for decades. Technology patents and scientific discoveries that the Council had never seen. This is... Velthar struggled to find words. "This is humanity being honest with you for the first time," Dae-hyun said. "You wanted to know if we were a threat. The answer is yes. We're a threat to your control. We're a threat to your monopoly on technology and trade. We're a threat to the system that has kept species dependent and weak for 10,000 years." He looked around the chamber at the hundreds of alien faces. "But we're not a threat to peace. We're not planning to invade anyone. We're not trying to build an empire. We just want to be free, and we want to offer that freedom to anyone else who wants it." At that moment, Commander Yuna Song activated the final phase of Operation Sovereign. Special operations teams that had been positioned quietly across the galaxy for months began securing human assets. There was no violence, no threats, just calm professional efficiency. At the major trade hub in the Kepler sector, human cargo ships that had been waiting for Council clearance simply departed without permission. Council officials tried to stop them, but the ship's new shielding systems ignored the containment fields. At the research station on Proxima 7, human scientists politely informed Council overseers that their contracts were terminated. When the overseers protested, the scientists showed them the fine print. Earth had quietly bought the entire station 3 years ago. At the military outpost near the border regions, human ships that had seemed dormant suddenly powered up with energy signatures far beyond what Council sensors expected. They didn't fire weapons. They didn't threaten anyone. They just sat there, their shields glowing with power that shouldn't be possible. Back in the council chamber, reports of these events began flooding in. Counselor after counselor received messages from across the galaxy. Everywhere, humanity was simultaneously asserting its independence. "This is an act of rebellion," Rax snarled. "You will face consequences." "We're willing to face consequences," Daehyun said calmly. "But think carefully about what those consequences might be. If you attack us, you'll start a war you might not win. If you isolate us, you'll only prove to every other species that the Council rules through fear, not cooperation." He paused, letting his words sink in. "Or you could accept the truth. Humanity has grown up. We're not children who need the Council's guidance anymore. We're not primitives who need your technology. We're equals, and we're offering you a partnership between equals." Trade Minister Junho spoke again. "We're not trying to destroy the Council. We're offering an alternative. Free trade between independent species, voluntary cooperation instead of forced compliance, mutual defense agreements instead of subjugation. And there's something else you should know," Director Minho added. "We've been in contact with 78 independent worlds. Many of them are very interested in the model we're proposing. If Earth can be independent, why can't they? The implications hit the Council like a physical blow. If other species followed Earth's example, the Council's entire power structure would collapse. 10,000 years of carefully maintained control could unravel in a matter of months." Velthar's translator was silent for a long moment. When he finally spoke, his voice was quieter. "What exactly are you proposing?" "Simple," Daehyun said. "Earth withdraws from Council authority. We maintain diplomatic relations but not subordination. We establish free trade agreements with any species that wants them. We share our technological advances with anyone interested. And we offer a new vision for the galaxy, one based on cooperation, not control." "You're asking us to give up everything we've built," Rax said angrily. "No," Daehyun replied. "We're asking you to evolve. The old system is dying whether you accept it or not. Too many species are tired of being controlled. Too many worlds want freedom. You can fight this change and face chaos, or you can adapt and help build something better." The chamber fell into stunned silence. Around the galaxy, billions of beings watched the broadcast. The Council had tried to blackmail humanity into submission. Instead, humanity had revealed capabilities no one suspected, and offered a vision that threatened the entire galactic order. President Ji-won Han's image appeared on the display. "The Council has 30 days to consider our proposal. In the meantime, Earth and its colonies will operate independently. We will maintain peaceful relations with all species. We will continue our trade agreements with independent worlds, and we will defend ourselves if attacked." She looked directly at Velthar. "We don't want to be your enemy, but we will not be your subordinate. The choice of what happens next is yours." The transmission ended. Ambassador Daehyun bowed slightly to the Council and walked out of the chamber. Behind him, chaos erupted as councilors began arguing, some demanding military action, others calling for negotiation, still others frantically trying to contact their homeworlds. The galaxy had just changed. The question now was whether that change would come peacefully or through conflict. Humanity had made its move. Now it was the Council's turn to decide. The emergency session began exactly 12 hours after Ambassador Daehyun's message reached Earth. Every major leader of humanity gathered in Geneva, either in person or through secure holographic links. President Ji-won Han sat at the head of the table, her expression calm but her eyes sharp. "Let's begin with what we know," she said. "Director Kang, your report." Minho Kang stood, activating a massive display that showed the galactic map. Red markers indicated Council forces and influence. Blue markers showed human presence. The Council has been planning this for at least 18 months. They've been slowly manipulating our trade agreements, making us appear dependent on their technology. They've convinced most member species that humanity is a growing threat. "Are we?" someone asked from one of the holographic displays. "That depends on your definition of threat," Minho replied. "We're not planning to invade anyone, but we are the fastest growing species in the galaxy. In 25 years, we've gone from 1 planet to 73 colonies. Our population in space now exceeds 2 billion. That scares them." Admiral Hyunwoo Choi stepped forward. "They're also afraid of our military development. We've built our fleet faster than any species in recorded history. What they don't understand is that we're not building it to attack them. We're building it because we learned a hard lesson from Earth's history. Never be defenseless, Ji-won said quietly. Never trust others to protect you. Dr. Yoon-ji Lee activated another display. This one showed complex technological schematics. Which brings us to Project Horizon. When we joined the Council 25 years ago, we were given access to their technology. Faster-than-light drives, energy weapons, shielding systems. They thought they were helping primitive humans. She smiled slightly. What they didn't account for was human curiosity. We didn't just use their technology. We studied it, took it apart, understood every component, and then we made it better. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. On the display, human-designed ships appeared next to Council-standard vessels. The differences were obvious to anyone who knew what to look for. Our ships are faster, Yoon-ji continued. Our weapons have greater range and power. Our shields can withstand twice the energy output of Council weapons. We've had this capability for 3 years, but we've kept it secret. How did we hide this from their intelligence services? One of the colonial governors asked. We didn't hide it, Minho said. We let them see exactly what we wanted them to see. Every inspection of our shipyards showed them Council-standard technology. Every military exercise used regulated power levels. We appeared to be following their guidelines perfectly. Meanwhile, Admiral Hyunwoo added, we built secondary shipyards in locations they never knew about. Asteroid fields, deep space stations, hidden facilities on remote moons. We've been producing advanced ships for years. President Ji-won stood and walked around the table. The Council thinks we're dependent on them. They think cutting off trade and technology will force us to submit. They have no idea that we've been preparing for this exact scenario. She touched the display and it changed to show economic data. What about our economy? Can we survive without Council trade? Trade Minister Jun-ho Park took over the presentation. The Council controls the major trade routes and resource distribution networks. But over the past decade, we've been establishing independent agreements. We've made direct deals with 70 independent worlds that aren't Council members. We've built our own resource extraction and processing facilities. Our agricultural colonies can feed our entire population without importing anything. So we can survive isolation, Ji-won said. More than survive, Jun-ho replied. We can thrive. And there's something else. Many of those independent worlds we've been trading with, they're tired of Council control too. They've been watching us carefully. If we successfully defy the Council, dozens of other species will follow our example. The implications were staggering. The Council had ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years, but their rule was based on control of technology and trade. If humanity proved that independence was possible, the entire galactic order could collapse. This is dangerous, one of the governors said. If we push too hard, the Council might respond with military force. They might try, Admiral Hyunwoo said. But our intelligence suggests they're not unified. Many Council species are uncomfortable with this ultimatum. They remember being forced to join the Council themselves. Some of them will actually support us quietly. Dr. Yoon-ji pulled up another display. We've also been sharing some of our technology improvements with friendly species. Not the military advances, but medical technology, agricultural improvements, better resource processing. We've been building goodwill across the galaxy. The Council sees us as a threat, but many ordinary species see us as generous partners. President Ji-won looked around the room at the faces of humanity's leaders. So we have the technology to be independent. We have the economic capability to survive isolation. We have quiet support from other species. The question is, how do we respond to the Council's ultimatum? We could negotiate, someone suggested. Offer some compromises. No, Minho said firmly. Any compromise now will just be the first step. If we show weakness, they'll keep pushing. In 5 years, they'll demand more. In 10 years, they'll want to control our colonies directly. We have to make a stand now. I agree, Admiral Hyunwoo said. But we need to be smart about it. We're not trying to destroy the Council. We're trying to prove that we won't be controlled. Ji-won nodded slowly. Operation Sovereign. We activate all our hidden capabilities simultaneously. We show them that we don't need their technology or their trade. We offer partnership but not submission. It's risky, one of the governors said. Everything worth doing is risky, Ji-won replied. Our ancestors took risks leaving Earth to colonize new worlds. They took risks developing new technology. They took risks standing up to every threat they faced. We're not going to stop now because some ancient aliens think they can push us around. She looked at each person in the room. We need a unanimous decision. This affects all of humanity. If even one colony, one leader, one military commander disagrees, we need to know now. One by one, the leaders indicated their support. Some were enthusiastic. Others were cautious. But all of them agreed. Humanity would not submit to blackmail. Very well, Jiwon said. Admiral Choi, prepare all military forces. Dr. Lee, activate the hidden infrastructure. Minister Park, inform our independent trading partners. Director Kang, position our intelligence assets. In 15 days, we show the Council what humanity really is. As the meeting ended and leaders returned to their duties, Dr. Yoonji approached President Jiwon privately. You know this will change everything. The galaxy will never be the same. I know, Jiwon said quietly, but maybe that's not a bad thing. The Council has ruled through fear and control for millennia. Maybe it's time someone showed them a different way. And if they respond with force, then we show them that humanity doesn't break easily. Jiwon looked out at the stars through the massive windows of the government building. We've survived wars, plagues, environmental collapse, and countless other disasters. We've thrived. The Council thinks we're young and weak. They're about to learn that young doesn't mean weak. It means adaptable. It means innovative. It means we're not stuck in old ways of thinking. Across human space, preparations began. Colony governors received their orders. Military commanders reviewed battle plans they had practiced in secret for years. Scientists activated facilities the Council didn't know existed. Diplomats reached out to friendly species with carefully worded messages. The clock was ticking. In 15 days, humanity would reveal its hand. The Council had tried to trap Earth with economic pressure and ultimatums. They were about to discover that the trap had teeth, and those teeth were pointed in the wrong direction. The chamber was massive, built to hold representatives from 300 different species. Ambassador Daehyun Kim stood in the center, his black suit simple compared to the elaborate robes and armor worn by the aliens around him. Above him, Council Prime Velthar sat on the highest platform, his insect-like body clicking and chittering as he spoke through the translation device. Ambassador Kim, humanity has been a member of this council for 25 years. We welcomed you. We shared our technology. We opened trade routes that allowed your species to spread across the stars. Belthar's compound eyes glittered in the artificial light. But now we have concerns. Daehyun kept his face neutral. He had been a diplomat long enough to know when a trap was being set. Around him, hundreds of alien representatives watched silently. Some looked curious. Others looked satisfied, as if they had been waiting for this moment. What concerns? Daehyun asked calmly. Counselor Rax, a large reptilian creature with dark green scales, leaned forward from his seat. Your military expansion? In the past decade, humanity has built more warships than any other species. You have established military bases on 40 different worlds. Your defense budget has increased by 300%. We have the right to defend ourselves, Daehyun replied. The Council Charter guarantees every member species the right to maintain defensive forces. Defensive? Rax hissed. You have more ships than some of the founding members of this council. That is not defense. That is preparation for war. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Daehyun noticed that many of the older species were nodding in agreement. These were civilizations that had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years, before humanity even discovered fire. They were not comfortable with how quickly humans had risen. Belthar raised one of his many limbs, and the chamber fell silent. We have drafted a proposal. For the safety of all species in the Council, humanity must place its military forces under Council oversight. A joint command structure will ensure that human ships are used only for legitimate defensive purposes. Daehyun felt his jaw tighten, but he forced himself to remain calm. You want us to give you control of our military? We want to ensure galactic peace, Velthar said smoothly. Surely you understand the concern. Humanity is young, aggressive, and growing rapidly. The older species here have seen what happens when a warlike race gains too much power too quickly. We must prevent such disasters. And if we refuse? Daehyun asked. The chamber grew very quiet. Velthar's translator clicked several times before he spoke again. Then the Council will be forced to take measures. Economic sanctions, trade embargoes, restriction of access to Council technology, isolation from the galactic community. He paused. We do not want this, Ambassador Kim. But we cannot allow humanity to threaten the peace that has existed for 10,000 years. Daehyun looked around the chamber. Most of the aliens were watching him, with what he recognized as anticipation. They expected him to argue, to threaten, to show the supposed human aggression they were all worried about. Instead, he smiled slightly. "This is a significant request. I need to consult with my government." "Of course," Veltar said. "You have 30 days. We trust you will make the right decision." As Daehyun turned to leave, Counselor Rax called out, "Ambassador, you should know that we have already begun preliminary trade restrictions. Just as a precaution, you understand. Several key technology shipments to Earth have been delayed. Some of your colony supply contracts have been renegotiated." Daehyun stopped. Now he understood. This had been planned for a long time. The Council had been quietly building economic pressure, making Earth dependent on their technology and trade networks. They thought they had humanity cornered. They thought Earth would have no choice but to submit. He turned back and looked directly at Velthar. "I will deliver your message to President Han. Earth will respond within 30 days. Back in his private quarters on the station, Daehyun activated his secure communication system. The encryption was human-made, not Council technology, one of many small advantages Earth had built over the years. Captain Minji Park appeared on the screen. She was aboard the indomitable Earth's flagship, currently stationed at the edge of the solar system. "How bad is it?" she asked. "They made their move," Daehyun said quietly. "Complete military control or total isolation. They think they have us trapped." Minji's expression hardened. "Do they know?" "No, they still think we need them." Daehyun allowed himself a small smile. "Send the message. Protocol midnight." "Finally," Minji said. "We've been ready for 3 years." After the transmission ended, Daehyun stood at his window looking out at the stars. The Council thought humanity was desperate and dependent. They thought 25 years of trade and technology sharing had made Earth weak. They had no idea what humans had really been doing during that time. On Earth, President Ji-won Han received the encrypted message within minutes. She sat in her office in Geneva, surrounded by her closest advisors. Admiral Hyun-woo Choi stood by the window. Dr. Yoonji Lee reviewed data on her tablet. Director Min-ho Kang listened to the recording of the Council session. "So they finally did it," Ji-won said calmly. "They've been building to this for years." "Our intelligence suggested they would move within the next 6 months," Min-ho said. "They've been coordinating with the older species for over a year. They see us as a threat. Are we a threat?" Ji-won asked. Admiral Hyun-woo turned from the window. "Only to their control. They've ruled the galaxy for millennia. They're not used to anyone questioning their authority." Dr. Yoonji looked up from her tablet. "Project Horizon is ready. All colonies have the infrastructure in place. Our technology is actually ahead of theirs now, though they don't know it. Then we proceed with Operation Sovereign," Ji-won said. "But carefully. We're not trying to start a war. We're trying to avoid one. The Council won't expect our response," Min-ho added. "They think we're dependent on their technology. They have no idea we've been reverse engineering and improving everything they've given us." Ji-won stood and walked to the large window overlooking the city. Humanity had come so far in just a few centuries. From a single planet to dozens of colonies, from primitive rockets to faster-than-light travel. The Council had helped, yes, but humans had learned, adapted, and innovated. "Send word to all colonies and military commands," she ordered. "Operation Sovereign begins in 15 days. We show them what humanity is really capable of." Across human space, encrypted messages began flowing. Colonies that had seemed dependent on Council trade quietly activated hidden facilities. Shipyards that the Council knew about were only half the story. There were others, built in secret, producing ships with technology the Council had never seen. Humanity had learned an important lesson early. Never trust others to protect you. Never depend on anyone else for your survival. The Council had thought they were helping a primitive species. Instead, they had been teaching a race of survivors how to thrive among the stars. The trap the Council had set was about to spring, but not in the way they expected. Humanity was not the prey, and in 30 days, the entire galaxy would understand what that meant. The recordings of the battle spread across the galaxy faster than any government could contain them. On thousands of worlds, billions of beings watched as 50 human ships systematically defeated 300 Council vessels. The footage played in market squares, on public displays, in private homes and government chambers. On the water world of Thalassia, the local governor called an emergency meeting. His species had been part of the Council for 6,000 years, but always as junior members. They had never been allowed to develop their own military. They had never been allowed to control their own trade routes. For millennia, they had accepted this as the natural order. Now, watching humans defy that order successfully, Governor Naxa felt something he had not experienced in his long life. Hope. "Contact Earth," he ordered his staff. "I want to speak with their trade representatives." He was not alone. Across the galaxy, dozens of species were reaching similar conclusions. If humanity could be independent, why couldn't they? On the industrial world of Forge Prime, the mining clans had grown tired of council quotas that limited their production to keep prices high. They had watched as the council took most of their profits while leaving them just enough to survive. Now they saw an alternative. Delegate Sujin Oh, Earth's ambassador to independent worlds, found herself overwhelmed with communication requests. Species she had never heard of were contacting her, asking about trade agreements, defense partnerships, and technology sharing. "We're getting 50 requests per hour," her assistant informed her. "Species want to know if Earth will help them the way we helped ourselves." Sujin smiled. This was exactly what President Jiwan had hoped for. Accept every legitimate request, set up meetings, show them that independence is possible. Meanwhile, on the council station, chaos reigned. Council Prime Velthar sat in his private chambers, watching his empire crumble. Reports came in constantly. Trade routes disrupted, species refusing to follow council directives, demands for autonomy from worlds that had been obedient for centuries. Councillor Rax burst into the chamber without announcement. "We must act now. Send our entire fleet. Crush the humans before more species rebel." "With what fleet?" Velthar asked quietly. "The one you just sent against 50 human ships? The one that came back defeated and humiliated? We have thousands of ships across the galaxy. We could lose thousands of ships," Velthar interrupted. "Have you learned nothing? The humans have technology superior to ours. They have allies we knew nothing about. And most importantly, they have something we lost long ago: purpose." He stood and walked to the window overlooking the station. "For 10,000 years, the Council has maintained peace through control. We told ourselves it was necessary, that younger species needed our guidance. But the truth is, we were afraid of competition, afraid of change, afraid of losing power." "So you would just surrender?" Rax demanded. "I would survive," Velthar replied. "The Council can evolve, or it can die. Those are our only options." Across the council chambers, similar conversations were happening. Some councillors wanted war, others wanted negotiation. A few quietly admitted that humanity might be right. The Kelsari representative, a species that had joined the council only 2 centuries ago, stood before the assembly. "My people remember what it was like before the council. We were free. We made our own choices. Yes, we made mistakes, but they were our mistakes. Now we follow council directives that we have no voice in creating. The humans are offering us a return to autonomy. Why should we refuse?" "Because autonomy leads to chaos," Rax argued. "Without the council's guidance, species will fight each other. There will be wars, suffering, death." "There is already suffering," the Kelsari representative replied. "The suffering of species denied their freedom. The suffering of worlds stripped of their resources to feed council quotas. The suffering of civilizations prevented from reaching their potential because the council fears competition." The debate raged for days. But outside the council chambers, the galaxy was already making its choice. Trade ships began ignoring council routes and establishing direct connections between worlds. Defense pacts formed between species without council approval. Technology sharing happened in private, away from council oversight. Dr. Yunji Lee stood before a gathering of scientists from 40 different species. They had come to Earth to learn about human technology, to see if the miracles they had heard about were real. "We're not going to keep secret," she announced. "Humanity's advancement came from understanding and improving existing technology. We'll share everything we've learned with anyone who wants it." She activated displays showing the improvements humans had made to faster-than-light drives, energy weapons, medical technology, and agricultural systems. The alien scientists watched with growing excitement. "But there's a condition," Yunji added. "You must share what you learn with others. No hoarding knowledge, no using these advances to conquer your neighbors. The new galaxy we're building is based on cooperation, not domination." One scientist, an elderly being from a species that had been part of the Council for 8,000 years, raised a question. Why? Why share this freely? You could use this knowledge to build an empire. Because humans learned something important, Yunji replied. Knowledge grows faster when it's shared. Innovation happens quicker when many minds work together. We could hoard our advances and be strong alone. Or we could share them and make everyone stronger together. Which galaxy would you rather live? Inda President Jiwon Han received a private communication from Velthar. It was not an official council message, just one leader speaking to another. You've won, Velthar said simply. Not through force, though you could have used it. You won by offering something better. A vision of cooperation instead of control, freedom instead of fear. We haven't won anything, Jiwon replied. We've just started a conversation. What happens next depends on everyone, not just humanity. The Council will not attack you again, Velthar promised. I cannot speak for all members, but the majority understand that military force is useless against you. The question now is what comes next. That's up to you, Jiwon said. The Council can adapt, become a forum for cooperation instead of an instrument of control. Or it can dissolve and let something new emerge. Either way, the old system is finished. Velthar was quiet for a moment. You realize you've condemned some species to failure. Without council guidance, many will make poor decisions. Some may fall into chaos. Perhaps, Jiwon acknowledged, but they'll be their own choices. And the species that succeed will do so because they earned it, not because they followed orders. Freedom means accepting risk. We think it's worth it. Within months, the galaxy transformed. 78 species formally withdrew from council authority and established the Coalition of Free Worlds. Not a government, but a voluntary association for trade, defense, and cooperation. Any species could join or leave at will. Decisions required consensus, not majority rule. The council continued to exist, but with greatly reduced power. Some species remained members, comfortable with the old system. Others left to join the coalition. A few tried to stay neutral, watching to see which system would prove more successful. Ambassador Daehyun stood in what would become the coalition's assembly hall, a massive structure being built on the moon, orbiting the neutral world of Meridian. Representatives from dozens of species worked alongside human engineers, each contributing their expertise to the project. It's not perfect, Delegate Sujin said, standing beside him. There will be conflicts, disagreements. Some species will abuse their freedom. Yes, Daehyun agreed. But it's ours. Not imposed from above, but built from cooperation. That makes all the difference. A young human engineer named Taeyang approached them. Ambassador, we have visitors. A delegation from the council. They want to discuss joining the coalition. Daehyun and Sujin exchanged surprised looks. The council wants to join? Not the whole council, Taeyang clarified, but several species. They say they want to be part of building something new instead of defending something old. As Daehyun went to meet the delegation, he reflected on how far they had come. 6 months ago, the council had tried to blackmail humanity into submission. They had threatened isolation, economic ruin, and military force. Instead, humanity had revealed capabilities the council never suspected. They had offered freedom to species tired of being controlled. They had won a battle while showing mercy to their enemies, and they had proven that there was an alternative to 10,000 years of enforced peace through dominance. The galaxy would never be the same. There would be challenges ahead. Some species would fail, others would thrive. Conflicts would arise that the old council might have suppressed. But for the first time in millennia, the galaxy had a choice. And that choice made all the difference. Admiral Hyunwoo watched from the Indomitable as more ships arrived at Meridian each day. Human vessels mixed with alien designs, all working together to build the infrastructure of this new coalition. It was messy and chaotic and beautiful. "Do you think it will last?" Captain Minji asked. "Does it matter?" Hyunwoo replied. "Even if it fails, we proved it was possible. We showed that the Council's way wasn't the only way, that's enough." He was right.